Justice of the Peace Roundtable meeting. And let me apologize for the 5 minutes delay. We had to change our Zoom ID at very short notice. Okay, so we had to get a word around, and that word is still being circulated. So some people may miss the first few minutes. So let me apologize for that. Okay, so for tonight's meeting, feel free to switch on your camera and mute your microphone until it's time for you to say something. All right, so make sure your microphone is muted, but you can switch on your camera and smile, and so we can see the handsome, beautiful face behind the name. Okay. Before we go into tonight's devotion, I'm going to put a help line in the chat room. So if you have any technical issues, you can call that number. I'm going to type it in now in the chat room. And whoever answers the phone, they'll be able to guide you as much as possible to sort out whatever issues it is. Okay. So the helpline is 876 893 5246. So that's 876-893-5246. So if you are having issues, you call that number. All right, no sense shouting it across the meeting. All right, just call that number and we have a technical team waiting to assist you with whatever problem that you may have. Okay, so at this time, we'll go straight into our devotions, a short, very short devotion. I'm going to ask Reverend Michael McGregor to lead the proceedings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bourne. Good evening, my brothers and sisters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I pray, I would just like to bring your attention briefly to a verse of scripture taken from St. Luke chapter 6, verse 31. It says, "And as ye would that men should do to you, do even so to them." It is generally known as the golden rule. Jesus was addressing the multitude in his sermon, and he was teaching them how they were supposed to live with each other. In fact, even those who did them wrong, he was instructing them that you need to do good to those persons, even who have done you wrong. And the same thing applies to us today in our present time, that we will be offended by persons and persons will even do us wrong. But we should learn it and to do good even to those who have done us wrong. The verse said that the same way you would like persons to treat you, you should first treat them that way. So all of us, let us treat one another well, and let us do what will bring happiness and peace to each other. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. You have brought us together this evening to educate and to inspire us so that we will go about our work in a more effective and efficient manner. We ask you, oh God, to direct this session, enable our presenters to present with clarity, and that we will all have a heart of acceptance. Please intervene, oh God, that the objectives of this session will be realized. We thank you for always being with us, and we pray for your covering upon our lives, and bless us as we proceed. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend McGregor, for reminding us of the golden rule and of respecting and loving each other. And that will be the spirit of tonight's meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone again at tonight's round table. I want to welcome all the JPs who will be commissioned, JPs who are joining our meeting for the first time. Welcome you. I know we have a team from the Legal Aid Council. They'll be specially introduced later on this evening, and of course the returning JPs who are regulars. We like to welcome you as well. Also, all of the leaders of the different groups, I'd like to welcome all of you. I don't know if anybody will be celebrating, all the persons who celebrated a birthday in September. We didn't have our meetings at the end of September. So all the persons from September who was born, we want to congratulate you. And those of you who got married. Okay, who are those persons? I heard somebody say thank you. Who is that?
Me, Judy O'Sullivan. I was September 9th.
Oh, you're a September baby. All right.
Yes, September 9th. I came from Christmas and New Year's.
Okay, very good.
September 12th for me, Samuel Campbell.
Okay. And you people were born in the height of the hurricane season.
Yes.
September 5th for me.
What's that?
September 5th for me.
September 5th. Okay. JP Carol. And no lovebirds? Nobody got married in September? Okay, well, congratulations to all of our September babies. And I hope you all enjoyed and continue to give God thanks for the gift of life. We live in a world where there's a lot of death around us these days. Somebody was born September 1, Dr. Carol Hilton. Happy birthday to you. Okay. And very good. We also want to extend our condolences for those of you who lost loved ones during September. Okay. I don't know if any justices of the peace died during the month of September. Trying to think back, but we want to extend our condolences and our support. Okay, and I know it's somebody from the Fort Myers zone who is in the hospital. I can't recall the name right now, but we have been reaching out and praying for that person. So anyone who is not well, we are giving you our full support, and we hope that you get well soon. And if you have lost loved ones in your family, or in the families, we pray that God will comfort you during this time. This evening's meeting will be one of encouragement and camaraderie. We want everyone to relax and really enjoy the meeting. If you're in touch with other JPs, please forward the new ID to them. Please help me by doing that. If you're not seeing anybody from your group, I sent out the new ID, but I don't know if everybody got it in time. So please help me out there. And if you're not seeing your group members, just send them a quick text and let them know that we had to change the new ID. We're gonna have a sponsorship break at this time. Our meeting is normally tonight is sponsored by the Northgate High School and the Catalyst Bookstore. They are responsible for the media team who is working very hard in the background. They did the flyer and they keep our Zoom platform running. This is not a 45-minute Zoom. This is a paid Zoom platform. And we have people standing by to assist and to and really make sure things go smoothly. Nice group working in the background. All right, and they are sponsored by the Northgate High School and Catalyst Bookstore. So let's have those arts now, and before we go further. You know, to share that update for us. Carol, it's your time.
Are you going to share that screen for me, please? Wesley, I sent you the link.
The link.
I sent the WhatsApp.
Okay.
No, not that one. Not that one. That's an old one. It's in the personal email. Look in your personal WhatsApp.
Okay. How did you send this, via email or what?
No, WhatsApp. Okay, if they give me the screen, I can share it.
Okay, let me make you.
Hello.
Let me make you in. Can the media guys? Can you make JP Carroll a co-host, please? Are you able to share, Carol?
I haven't been made a co-host yet. I'm not seeing anything to share.
Okay, just hold on.
Let me see. Are you seeing it?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
seeing my screen?
yes.
Okay. Let me go to the beginning. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I am going to be sharing just briefly on Saved Dreams, which is the St.Mary JP Community Outreach and Empowerment Initiative. And that's our 2021-2022 project. And our theme is saving one dream at a time. I'm just gonna change my, yes, okay. Now I can see better. The St. Mary JP coordinating team, the COEI coordinating team are Chair Wesley Boyne, Assistant Chair myself, Carol Deans Vezina, Secretaries Tanisha Willis Miller, Assistant Secretary Paulette Nelson, Coordinator Pauline Steele Davis, Burchell James, Kelleen Roden, and Omar Marston. These 8 persons comprise the coordinating team. Can I ask persons to mute their things, please? There's interruption, there's interference. Mute your mics, please. Getting some feedback. The objectives of the program, the COEI, 4 objectives. The first is to establish an empowerment and mentorship initiative or program by the name of Saved Dreams, which we have done, for at-risk youth and disadvantaged persons within selected communities. I realize I'm not on slide view. Sorry, excuse me. The second objective is to advance the technological capacity in the parish by creating Wi-Fi hotspots in selected communities. That is headed by JP Steele Davis. Objective 3, to organize community sensitization and information sharing sessions for selected communities or community members. That is headed by JP Kelly Roden. And objective 4, to identify and assist selected individuals, families, or communities who are in need of social and educational support. That is headed by me. And the very first one for the mentorship is headed by JP Wesley Boyne. We have operationalized, my tongue is giving me problems this evening, our objectives. And so far, well, we have actually identified 3 primary schools, which are Water Valley, Hillside, and Retreat. 67 boys and girls have been identified from these 3 schools. The identification of beneficiaries process. Schools actually identified the students according to the guidelines that the COEI gave them. So the initiative gave them guidelines, and from those guidelines, they identified the boys and girls. We asked them to be as equal as possible between boys and girls. It wasn't exactly down the middle, but it's pretty close. Guidelines based on the student financial constraints, educational achievements, and mentoring needs. We used the Google Docs survey that was completed by the schools, and that allowed us to capture, somebody's mic is still on. It allowed us to capture the pertinent data that we'll need to continue with the initiative. What are the benefits to the students? 4 main benefits are that we plan to assist them in accessing personal electronic devices, for example, your tablets or your laptops. So far, we have identified the need that was sent in was identified as 17 persons, 17 students requiring this assistance. Access to internet and data. We plan, our process is to identify the community benefactors, persons who will allow students on an kind of an interim basis to use their internet. Also to get companies, local data and internet companies to assist us in this area. Textbooks and accessories are also going to be, we will assist them with that. A voucher system is being used. So vouchers will be written for the 25 students who have been identified as needing this help. And so we will give them vouchers of a stated, we stipulated $5,000 for each student need. One-on-one mentoring will also be a benefit to the students. Still continuing with how we have operationalized the objectives, we are changing the status of the St. Mary JP COEI. So under the guidance of JP Burchell James, we're incorporating the COEI and making it a formal company, and also we're making it a not-for-profit company as well. The paperwork has been completed and has actually been submitted to the companies of Jamaica, and we are awaiting their completion at this time. Shouldn't be too long. I think we're fast tracking that one, if I'm not mistaken. The benefits of incorporation and nonprofit. Incorporation allows perpetual life. That is, it allows the company to continue even after other members have passed away. Yes. There's also the benefit of the risk factor, where individual members will not be held responsible for the company's liabilities or debts. There is the benefit of transparency and accountability, so that stakeholders will be able to see what we are doing. And we will be more readily accepted and supported by other companies and individuals. Some persons, in fact, won't deal with you if you're not a registered company. In terms of a charitable organization, the not-for-profit, this is attractive to donors because it will provide them with tax benefits. Yes, so people tend to gravitate to organizations that are not-for-profit because they themselves can benefit from that. Now, how are we planning to fund this project? 3 funding approaches. First of all, you should have already received letters. All JPs for St. Mary, those who we have contact for, should have already received letters introducing them to the project and asking for their donation. And so I believe that what we were saying is, I believe we have 400 JPs on register. And if everyone provides $1,000, yes, we could make $400,000. And that is actually, $400,000 is actually the per term target that we have to fund this project. So I ask you to encourage your JPs to help us by donating this minimal sum of $1,000. I know it's very hard times, but I think, if we could do that $1,000 for a good and worthy cause. We also plan a virtual concert. Currently, the timeline is for the Heroes Weekend in October. And we will tell you more about that because that is still being developed. The third fundraising approach is to request from individuals or groups locally and overseas. Yes, and so if you wish, we can provide you with a letter, an official letter from the Custos, and you can send to your friends, your relatives, associates, locally or overseas, to ask if they would help us with this project. And the account details are below. Once we are incorporated and we're officially a company, we will get our own account information. But for the time being, if anyone has to do their fundraising, the information or the monies can go to this account. So it's the Custos Management Fund in Port Maria. It's a current account, and the account number is 814-192-059. And you will need that information if you want to do, of course, the online banking transfer as well. upcoming plan, a call to justices of the peace. Please, we're going to be seeking competent JPs to assist with the one-on-one mentoring of selected students. So please stay tuned. We will be asking and sending out more information on this as well. Yeah, so this is a call to justices of the peace who are competent in this area. And I believe that ends my update for tonight. Justice Boyens, over back to you. Let me stop sharing.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I'll just make room for 2 questions or comments. I'll take the easy questions and Carol will take the hard ones.
Okay.
Any questions? Carol, did you mention if we are targeting the grade 5 students or that?
No, I didn't. Yes, it's grade 5 students from the 3 primary schools. So we wanted this group so that we could help to kind of prepare them for the exit, their school leaving exit exams when they get to grade 6. Yeah, so this is the target group.
Okay.
Any questions? No?
I think there's a comment.
Oh, this says the assistance will be done virtually. I'm not sure I understand. JP Georgian, could you just explain a little bit more, please? You can open your mic and.
Okay, I was wondering if we were assigned a particular child, will we be assisting that child virtually?
Or you mean in the mentorship aspect?
In the mentorship, yes, in the mentorship aspect.
Yeah, that is because, you know, we live in the days of COVID. Okay, I mentor young people and I have to do most of it online. Okay, and some of them live very far away from me. So the technology is there, why not? Okay, that once the interaction is meaningful and will help them to, you know, to develop properly and to make good choices by all means. So you don't have to find a way to the back of St.Mary or wherever. Once a retail connection can be made, we'll be happy. There's another question in the chat.
The $1,000, will the same be collecting?
$1,000, I'm not sure.
Okay, is that, do you mean the $1,000 from the JP, which I think is what you mean, Vivian? Then I believe you could deposit to the Custos account. Are you saying that that's not, you're not able to do so? Open your mic, please, JP Vivian.
Yes, it would be easier if someone would collect.
Yes.
Yes, I will not be able to deposit online.
Okay, someone is saying, Georgian is saying you can pay at the Custos office as well.
Okay, all right, okay.
Justice Boyens, is that okay? Georgian is saying that, but I'm not positive about that.
I am not sure. I need to find out about that. But making an online deposit is very easy. It's not as hard as we think it is. And it's also safer because you don't have to go out there and be, you know, in the environment is filled with viruses these days.
Yes.
So
a transfer, yes, an online transfer.
It's not that complicated. It's just some of us sort of shy with the technology. But if you try 1 or 2 times, it's very, very easy. But if you're having some challenges and it has to be a physical contribution, then I can't answer the Custos office. I'll have to find out.
Yes. And
because once you're collecting money physically, that's a security issue. So I'm not sure what's the system there.
Right.
But I want to encourage everyone, learn to use the online transfer systems. It makes your life much easier.
Okay, someone is asking for the banking info to be in the chat. Okay, I'll put it in 1 second.
Okay, JP Carroll will take care of that. That's a Custos account. Go ahead, Samuel Campbell.
Okay, I think it's a very good program. I like it, but I'm not sure that I heard the aspect of selecting the participant. How do you arrive at these guys, students?
Well, they were selected already through consultation with the Social Development Commission and the the principals of the schools to identify. Okay, we were targeting the grade 5 students who are students with a lot of potential and just need a little push, a little support, a little facilitation. The school leaders and the guidance counselors, they were all involved in the selection. Okay, JP Campbell, Samuel.
Yeah, yes, I just briefly went over it. Sorry, JP Samuel. What we did was that we asked the teachers of the grade students, the grade 5 students. At the time, there would have been grade 4 when we asked. And so a collaboration between grade 4 and 5 teachers was done to see, to match what we requested from them. And we requested that they use students who had economic issues. So the parents were not economically able to help them. So financial issues, which is what I stated earlier. That was one criteria. A second criteria was that we were really more or less looking for students who were average or above average in terms of their school performance in their subjects. And we were also looking for students who had certain moderate, minor to moderate behavioral issues that could be helped by mentoring. Yes, so these were essentially the areas we were looking for. And so the teachers matched what we outlined and they came up with the students.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair enough, fair enough.
Okay, thank you very much. JP Carroll, can you just confirm the bank? In my mind, it's NCB.
Oh yes, it was NCB, I believe, yes.
Somebody's in BNS, but I think it's NCB.
No, it's NCB.
All right, very good. Okay, if you have other questions on this issue, please just put it into the chat room. JP Carroll will track it, but we have to move on, all right? So we can keep that conversation going, but in the chat, but the rest of the program will have to go on so we can manage our time wisely. At this time, we'll have a word from our sponsors and then go into the next part of our meeting. So the media team, are you ready? Okay.
The Catalyst Bookstore and Stationery Supplies is a unique and powerfully functioning resource center. We offer educational materials and resources for a strong family life. We encourage our families to not only learn together, but play together. The Catalyst strongly believes in community development, and so we interface with schools and institutions promoting mental, social, and spiritual health. The Catalyst Bookstore and Stationery Supplies, shop number 44, Ocean Village Shopping Center, Ocho Rios, telephone 876-974-3710 or WhatsApp 876-293-1150. The Catalyst, a resource center with family at heart. Do you have children 10 to 14 years old? Are you looking for an online school option that offers live video interaction between students and the teacher? Are you looking for a safe environment to help build character in your child? Then contact us at Northgate High School. We engage a values-based approach to education while delivering academic and life skills training. Parents of homeschooled children and those with children who are temporarily without a school option for this term, contact us. We may just be the answer you're looking for. Call us 876-506-2785 or email us northgatehigh2012, that is northgatehigh2012@gmail.com. Northgate High School, impact through education.
Okay, thank you very much, media team, for sharing those ads. At this time, we have the legal aid, a team from the Legal Aid Council here with us, and they'll be making a presentation. And I'm going to ask JP Tanishe Miller to introduce them.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
I'm
evening.
pleased to welcome Ms. Corona Spence and Mr. Ann Watson, who are both from the Legal Aid Council, to our St.Mary JP Association Roundtable Forum. Ms. Corona Spence is an attorney at law and a legal officer at the Legal Aid Council, where her practice focuses on criminal litigation. Ms. Spence read history and law at the University of the West Indies. She received her legal education certificate from the Norman Manley Law School and thereafter received postgraduate training in legal information resource management at the University of the West Indies. Mrs. Ann Watson is an attorney at law and the executive director of the Legal Aid Council. She is the holder of a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of London and received her legal education certificate from the Norman Manley Law School. She later pursued postgraduate studies at Columbia University in the city of New York, where she was awarded a Master of Laws degree. With that, I ask that we give her full attention and help me in welcoming them to the forum.
Okay, so over now to the team from Legal Aid.
Good evening. Let me first apologize for joining you late. We had some technical challenges, but we're very honored to be present at this meeting. We're happy that you saw it fit to invite us, and I'm particularly honored because I'm a daughter of the soil of St.Mary, and so I'm very honored, as I said, to be here. Our presentation, well, I'll start. I'm Diane Watson. I'll start the presentation, and then Miss Spence will join us, and we'll both do the question and answer together. Let me share screen.
Okay, and legal team, make sure Diane Watson can share, right? Are you seeing the option to share, Diane?
I'm trying to get it on. Just a moment, please. This is cruise, is it? Share. Right. You should be seeing me. Are you seeing it?
Yes, we're seeing it.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, yes, go on.
All right, so we can go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
So what is legal aid? So legal aid is the provision of legal information, advice, or representation in court for persons who cannot afford to privately retain an attorney. And this right, it's actually a right under the Constitution of Jamaica. Section 16, subsection 6C states that every person charged with a criminal offense shall be entitled to defend himself in person or through legal representation of his own choosing, or if he has not sufficient means to pay for legal representation, to be given such assistance as is required in the interest of justice. And so the Legal Aid Council provides legal advice and representation for criminal matters to persons of small or moderate means. The services offered by the council are duty counsel service, legal representation in court, and mobile unit visits. I'll take them one by one. In relation to duty counsel, well, duty counsel actually refers to an attorney who provides legal assistance for a person who is arrested or detained at a police station or lockup and who is unable to afford an attorney. It's provided for all criminal offenses. And for example, if a person is detained or arrested by the police and they cannot afford an attorney and the police would like to do a question and answer or an identification parade, a family member or friend can call or visit the offices of the Legal Aid Council to make the request for duty counsel services. So they can do that, or the police can call. They can call an attorney who's on the duty counsel list, and the police, they actually have a duty to inform the detained or arrested person of the availability of duty counsel, and the service is free. So once someone is arrested, they can call and have a duty counsel assist them through the process free of cost. So the question and answer. So if they're going to be cautioned, the accused person would have to have someone present, and that person could be an attorney, a duty counsel, or oftentimes just of the peace offer this kind of service. And we need to have them present to ensure that their rights are protected. They have to be offered protection against self-incrimination. So persons are entitled to duty counsel services and ought not to be questioned in the absence of an attorney. And I think I covered the caution statement where persons are to be present, where the attorney is to be present for a caution statement. I'm sorry. In terms of an identification parade, I think I missed that slide. An identification parade is a system used by the police to facilitate positive identification of an accused or a person who has been apprehended. The suspect was complained against. The suspect would have been apprehended by the police on the basis of a description given by the eyewitness. Now, the ID parade is important to provide the link between the person who the witness saw and the person whom the police actually arrested. So it is important to have an attorney present to deal with an ID parade or to assist someone who was arrested during the process of an ID parade. I know sometimes justices offer this service, but we would recommend that a duty counsel be called to provide this service. There are also cases where, I'm sorry, I moved this slide where I should. Let me go back to the other slide. So there are also cases where a justice of the peace may be required to assist a person who has received serious injuries and is dying. So a JP is required in those circumstances to witness the statement from such person before he or she dies for the purpose of using such statement in a trial. Now that statement is referred to as a dying declaration, and the law says it is admissible when there is a settled, hopeless expectation of death by the victim. So what the law presumes is that someone who's making such a declaration must find himself or feel that he's face to face with his own impending death, and therefore it is presumed that that person will not be lying. And so a justice of the peace often provides this service by being present when a dying declaration is taken. It is actually an exception to the hearsay rule, and the hearsay rule provides that you can't really go to court and give evidence about what someone else said. So this is an exception. So the JP could actually go to court and say, I heard him say, and this is the statement that he gave, and it is admissible in evidence. Now, in terms of the JP's visiting committee, the purpose of the visiting committee's scheme is to ensure that arrangements for the detention and custody of persons are satisfactory and in accordance with the law. Visiting justices are authorized to enter any police station in the parish. Visiting justices must do several things. One, interview any detained or arrested person alone or in the presence, but not necessarily in the hearing of a member of the force. Two, ascertain whether or not the detained or arrested person has any complaints. Three, record any such complaints, which record must be certified by the senior police officers present at the station. And four, inquire into the question of bail. 5, the JP is required to inspect the records relating to the arrest, detention, and court appearance of each detained or arrested person to ensure that the person is legally in custody. Court appearance dates are met, persons are not kept in custody for unduly long periods, and inspect the medical journal, medical directives or advisories relating to each detained or arrested person. In terms of inspection of lockups, visiting justices must observe and assess the state of the building housing the lockups and bring to the notice of the divisional officer, the custos, the commissioner of police, etc., any repairs, alterations, additions, which may appear necessary. The visiting committees may not embark on inspection of police facilities unconnected with the arrest, custody, and care of detained or arrested persons, and are prohibited from raising concerns or any issues concerning the guilt or innocence of any person in police custody, as these are the prerogative of the criminal justice system. All information obtained in the course of visiting police lockups should remain confidential and should not be released to the public under any condition. Now, in terms of the visiting team frequency, well, the team itself should be not less than 2 justices. The senior justice will be responsible for recording the visits. In terms of frequency of visits, lockups should be visited at least once each week between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Although circumstances require, visits may be made at any time during a 24-hour period. Visits may be pre-arranged and with the police, or if considered necessary, without notice. Now, in terms of representation in court, that is offered So the duty counsel duties end at the first hearing. So the duty counsel will go give you advice when you're arrested, attend the question and answer for you, attend identification parade, and go with you to the first hearing at court. Thereafter, if the matter doesn't end at that stage, the defendant or accused person may apply for legal aid assistance. So for this assistance, an application form must be filled out and a means test is conducted to determine the level of contribution, if any, that the applicant will make. Application for legal representation in court can be made in court or at the legal aid clinics or at the legal aid council. If the applicant is in custody, a family member or friend can make the application on their behalf. Any expert assistance that is needed to advance the defense of our clients is provided. It could be in relation to a DNA report, a handwriting expert, etc. An application for this service is made by the attorney to the legal aid council. So we do offer those services where persons can, if they think it would advance their defense, get assistance in getting a DNA report or a handwriting expert report or any other expert report that they think would assist in their case. If they can't afford it, we will assist. And an attorney will be assigned we'll determine which attorney to assign based on the complexity of the matter, and that will also determine the number of attorneys that could be assigned to a particular matter. And our panel of attorneys consists of persons, regular attorneys who have their private practice, who offer themselves up for this particular service. And presently we have over 800 attorneys who do provide this service to the members of the public. The next slide is on children in conflict with the law, and Ms. Spence will take us through that into the question and answer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Watson. For the purposes of our legal system, a child is a person between the ages of 12 to 17 years. Before the person reaches age 12, they cannot commit a crime. And so you'd find, for example, in inner city communities, adults tend to use children between the ages of, say, 5 to 11 years to do break-ins of houses or even shops, because they know if the child is caught, they cannot be charged. At the age of 18 years, that person becomes an adult. For a child in conflict with the law, there should be no fingerprinting. As it relates to remand facilities, these facilities should be similar to a dormitory, for example, like a boarding school, and should have a recreation area or areas. Notwithstanding the outcome of a court proceeding, there should be no criminal record for a child. A child should be brought before the court within 48 hours of arrest. As it relates to child diversion, the Ministry of Justice has implemented diversion as a tool of restorative justice. It is used primarily to put a child offender, especially those who are charged with a minor offense, on a path away from the criminal justice system, a path where they will not be arrested or detained in any similar facility like an adult would. It is the objective that they should be free to play, free to participate in activities as they would at a boarding school institution. The program is intended for children between the ages of 12 to 17 years, and the steps involved in the child diversion process are: 1, the child has to accept responsibility for the action or the offense. A referral has to be done by the police or a judge, and after a referral is done, a risk assessment is done by a child diversion officer, who will then develop a treatment plan, and that plan will determine what method of rehabilitation will be used. So, for example, the child diversion officer could determine that based on the circumstances, an apology or community service would be a sufficient punishment. So for our next slide, we have our contact information. The Legal Aid Council is located Hello? Were
Yeah,
you hearing me?
sorry about that, Carolina. That was
All right, where did you last hear?
just about a few seconds ago.
You just started.
And there are two legal aid clinics. There's a Kingston Legal Aid Clinic, which is located at 131 Tower Street, and the Montego Bay Legal Aid Clinic at 42B Union Street. The clinics, they provide assistance with civil matters. These are matters where persons are not arrested, and the legal aid comes to provide assistance in criminal matters. There's also the non-manly lawful legal aid clinic, but because it is a training institution, a teaching institution, you find that they do not operate at the maximum level when school is on break. So we recommend the Montego Bay Legal Aid Clinic or the Kingston Legal Aid Clinic. And that is the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, we will take them now.
Carolina, there are some questions in the chat room. Do you want me to read them out, or you can see them?
Can I get back? Sorry.
All right,
You want me to read them out?
sure, you can read them out.
All right.
Please.
First one, you said after the first representation, application can be made for legal aid. Further representation, where is this application form located?
All right, so the application form, so the first stage, as Mrs. Watson have explained, was duty counsel. Duty counsel goes up to the first court date, and there is no application form for that service. If the matter goes to court for court representation, then an application has to be made, and that application can be done at our office. Legal aid counsel's office is located at 72 Harbour Street or at any one of the clinics. If the assignment of an attorney is made in court by a judge, because as Mrs. Watson's presentation would have said, the court can make the assignment, and that is usually done by the judge, then the clerk of court would fill out that application or have a court staff assist with the filling out of that application.
Okay, so somebody in St.Mary, they have to call the office in Kingston, or do you have people in St.Mary standing by? How does it work on the ground?
So you can call, if you're not before the judge and requesting legal aid, you can call our offices. Because of COVID, we would have made several changes where persons don't have to come into our office. And because we also know the financial situation of the persons we assist, it may not be that they can afford to come to Kingston. So we will do the application over the phone. They can also email us. Our email address is aid.legal, legal, @moj.gov.jm. So they can call us, they can email us, they can even visit our website and send us a message on our website. Our website address is legalaidcounsel.moj.gov.jm. So if they're able to communicate with us or make contact with us via those means, we will make the necessary arrangements for the application to be done so that an attorney is present at court with them on their next hearing date.
Okay. Somebody's asking if you can explain the matter of child diversion.
All right, so child diversion, it's really not having the child. So for example, a child would say had a fight with another student at school, at the school gate. A pencil was brought into play, flesh was torn, there was blood, the police came, and they are charged with, say, assault. Before child diversion, those children would have been, if found guilty at court, would have been sent to a detention facility. Now with child diversion, there are child diversion officers who are trained in mediation, because it's also a process similar to alternative dispute resolution, or one of those processes. So instead of having the person go to a facility where they are locked down, they only come out for a meal or for a certain time of the day, instead of having like a prison-like situation, the child diversion officer, based on the circumstances, can have them, for example, say, do community service, have them make an apology. give them counseling so a situation like that does not happen again, because they would have been, for example, students at the same school, and so some amount of environment is provided for healing. So instead of locking them away, they still don't like each other. When they see each other again, 5 years, they're gonna fight again. The child diversion program helps them to heal, provide counseling, and divert them away from a criminal justice system that would lock them up and be similar to that of what happens for an adult.
Okay. You said a child cannot commit a crime. So if a child chops off somebody's hand, what is that called? How do you manage that?
Well, for our legal system, if it is a child under the age of 12, no action can be brought against that child. And so that's why the example was given where inner city communities, for example, they use children under the age of 12 to commit crimes because they know that if they commit the crime and they're caught, they're not going to be charged. So under the age of 12, it's called the age of discretion. No, you cannot charge a child for any offense. But I'm sure things will be put in place, systems will be put in place, for example, based on the nature of the crime, counseling, and so forth. So there's not a reoccurrence, and so to that the child understand, if they can understand that what they did was a crime.
Okay. Somebody's asking if the visiting committee does visit on their own or they are rostered by the custos.
Well, it is the custos and to determine the custos and your team to determine how it is that you want to approach visiting a police station. It is the justices who decide who will be on the visiting committee, if they're going to have a roster, or if only these persons will be visiting the lockups.
Okay. Justice Simone Granston is asking if the child, going back to the same child diversion, if the child will be sanctioned in any way.
Yes, the child is sanctioned. The sanction is determined based on the offense. If it is one that can be dealt with at the child diversion program, sanction can determine. Well, the child diversion officer will help to develop a treatment plan. So it's not just to say you're guilty, you're going to be penalized. No, there is a treatment plan put in place. For example, as I was saying earlier, whether the child needs counseling, whether the child needs further enlightenment in whatever area, that is provided based from what the child diversion officer would have seen, would have heard about the proceedings. And they then determine what is necessary. And I believe that there's a Child Diversion Act that lists what can be done, at what stage it can be done. So persons can visit the or the Ministry of Justice website, and I believe they can type in Child Diversion Act, and it will come up, and they can, read more about the Child Diversion Program via the act.
Okay, maybe somebody can find it and post it in our chat, in our WhatsApp group. Sharon Gouling is asking if diversion involves removing the child from the environment.
If the child diversion officer determines that that is necessary, then that will be done.
Okay.
That will be done.
Claudia Howard is asking if and colleagues, feel free to open your mic and speak as well if you are brave enough, okay? But I'll read the messages as well. Claudia Howard is asking if the child is in a gang and commit murder and can be proven. What happens?
Well, again, as you were saying, it's the program is really to divert children away from the criminal justice system. But if the situation or the crime requires that it's one that cannot be dealt under the child diversion program or under the Child Diversion Act,
yes,
then the act would also speak to what would happen in cases, for example, that situation.
Okay.
So the act provides guidance as to how to treat the various offenses.
Okay. Georgian, I'll come back to your question. Let me go to Martin's question because it's in line with the current theme. If the child commits murder, are you saying that there'll be no punitive sanctions? guess people trying to figure this one out.
Okay, so if the child, so we have the age of discretion, child up to age 12,
Yeah.
sorry, can't be charged with a criminal offense. So between the ages of 12 and 17 years, that child will be charged. If they're under that age, they're not going to be charged.
Wow.
For a number of reasons. Because, for example, that child could be brainwashed.
Yes.
The child may not understand what he or she would have done. So for a number of reasons, that is the case.
Okay. Okay, GP Carol just placed a link to the Child Diversion Act, so we can all take a read. Georgian, can you open your mic? I'm not sure what your question is saying, so can you open your mic and ask a question? Georgian?
I was asking, how do you said that when you're going to visit the lockup, there has to be a senior justice involved. There should be at least two. So how do you know how is that arranged?
All right, so if you're a justice and I'm a justice, and say, for example, there's a schedule, and on the schedule we're to visit to Saturday coming, that's the 2nd of October, you and I are to do the visit. If you are a justice, say, for example, 10 years now, and I'm a justice for 2 years, on that visit, you are the senior justice, and therefore you are like a prefect. So you are in charge of, you are taking lead, you will take the lead, you will take the report. If I need to speak to the commissioner of police regarding the facility being so bad, then you will write up that report or that letter and send to to whomever you determine needs to have that information so that they can fix the situation. And it kind of makes sense because if I decide that I want to be on the visiting committee and I'm rostered for Saturday coming, and I've been a justice for 2 months, and you have been a justice for 10 years, it would kind of make sense that you would be the lead. You would be the senior person.
Very good.
And as
It is expected that you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that as long as the justice is in St.Mary, right? Or yeah,
Right,
or is in
correct.
St.
Correct.
Okay.
I know that there has been a move so that before you would have been a justice in your parish, but I'm not sure if it's finalized yet where you're going to be a justice throughout the country and not just the parish. Are you aware of that?
Yes, but I'm not sure what the process is.
Right. So currently, I'm not sure that that process has been operationalized, but currently you're a justice for the parish. So it is any police station, lockup, or any other facility or similar facility. You can appear to do your visits to ensure that the person who is detained or arrested, to check out their condition, to see that they're not being beaten, to see that they're being given food. So there's a diet book at the police station. You can ask to see the diet book to see if Corona has been fed her meals, if she has been given her medication. So you can go to do those things. You are to really inform the police of your visiting time. But if you think that it is necessary for you not to do so, then you don't have to inform. You can just turn up. So for example, the last 5 visits, you heard complaints because somebody from your community was arrested, and what they tell you is not that you go there and see. So from your deduction, it would seem as though whenever they know you're coming, certain things are put in place. So you don't want them to know that you're coming on Saturday. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to turn up without letting the police know. So you determine under what circumstance you can go without providing them with your arrival day or time. You have that right.
Okay. Does that apply under the whole COVID situation? I mean, does the COVID situation impacts that normal flow in any way?
With the Disaster Risk Management Act in place, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that act would have limited your visiting the police station. I would have to look at it, or one of your members would have to look at it to see if it is that. But I know that in the justices that visits, for example, Kingston and St. Andrew, they usually would make contact with us on a weekend to say that this person needs a Q&A to be done and for us to arrange for that to happen, or an ID parade and for us to arrange for that to happen. And I've noticed that they have not stopped passing on that information. So I'm thinking that the COVID may not have affected the visiting so much. And logically, thinking about it logically, I don't see why it should, because you're performing a kind of duty that is trying to prevent certain ills that would continue with or without COVID. So the person may not be getting their medication. COVID don't stop the police from not giving him or her the medication or food, or ensure that a child. Oh, another thing that is very important: whenever you go to a lockup, a child should not be in an adult facility. So if you go to a police station lockup and you see a child with adult, you are to ask that the child be removed immediately. So you would have to go with COVID, you'd have to go to see that these things are not happening.
Okay. Two comments. Before I read the two comments in the chat, Simonia Pottinger hand was up for quite a while. Go ahead, Simonia.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Now, I realized that when Miss Penn spoke about the child being 11, not able to be in charge for a crime, and where I'm from, or the agency that I'm with, we have a situation like that where an 11-year-old killed a 14-year-old, and he, yes, was not tried for the crime because he was 11 at the time. And so he was removed from the community and placed in a facility for his safety. The only downside to that now, sir, is that some of these children, when they commit those offenses, they would have gone through psychiatric evaluation. They would have gone through some sessions of counseling and stuff like that. And some of them come back and they don't have any remorse for the victim or their families, and it just begs the question now, if that should be revisited, because if you kill your colleague or your friend in an accident, and then you are coming back now to threaten persons that you have killed already and you will kill again, it begs the question to ask if that is something in the near future that should be revisited.
Karuna, would you like to comment on that?
Well, that part of the law is quite, you have case law that would govern those situations. You have legislation that would govern those situations. So it's just a case, I believe, where it's not one size fits all, and some people are going to slip through the crack, and you don't know for whatever reason so for example, suppose that child was being threatened and the only defense he thought he had was to say, I've killed already, so I can kill again, so leave me alone. It don't necessarily mean that they meant it. And so if that is reported to, for example, the child diversion office or department, you could ask for, the child to undergo further counseling, because it may be where that is needed.
And also to Kieran, if I may, it's the same position in many other jurisdictions. It's about capacity, where the law doesn't believe that they have been fully developed mentally to be able to tell the difference between right and wrong and to realize that they're committing a crime. So, which is why in many jurisdictions around the world, the law is so that children are not charged if they're below a certain age.
Okay. All right, just some comments in the chat room from JP Carroll. I believe that even under the new proposed change in justices being for the island and not only the parish, for judicial matters, our jurisdiction is still restricted to St.Mary. That was my understanding. Okay, I think I understand it that way as well. From Sharon, she said, I noticed a public defender was denied visit, can this same treatment be administered to JPs? And JP Carroll said again, psychological evaluation is really needed for serious offenses. So before we take the comment from Michael McGregor, can you comment on those comments in the chat group? What's name, Ms. Spence?
Well, let me give Ms. Spence a little break. Well, we're not sure. I've not heard about the circumstances under which a public defender was denied visits or was prevented from visiting. But I don't see any reason why a justice should not be allowed to visit. The justice ought to be allowed to visit, and if that were to happen, then some complaints would have to be made to the commissioner or some person in charge of the correctional services. If that is happening, I do believe that persons are still being detained and arrested, and therefore the services of the JP is very essential, and it continues.
Yeah. Yes, that's the whole point of having you all here tonight. We want the JPs to really expand your vision of functioning as a JP in the parish. Yes, Reverend Michael, go right ahead. For yours.
I have maybe two questions.
Yes.
One, if a child commits a crime, can that case be opened when that person reach 18?
No.
That's one.
No.
Okay. When the child reach 18, can the case be opened? Can that child now be faced, the person now be faced before the court? And second question is, there was always a complaint about the time frame that person would be assisted by the legal aid counsel. What is the position with that now?
Very good.
Miss Watson, you want to take the first one and I'll take the second one?
Very well. So the answer to the first question is no. You're saying that if a child, no, you can't reopen the case when the child becomes an adult. No, it's not allowed. And in the same manner, if that child who is of capacity, meaning over a particular age, and if that person commits an offense and goes to, suppose he's incarcerated, even though prior to the Child Diversion Act, and he's incarcerated, you're not allowed to use that record against him or her when they become of age.
Okay.
And as it relates to the time frame, could you expound on that? I'm not sure I understood what you were trying to say.
What I'm trying, you want me to ask the question again?
Yes.
So expound some more on that question about the time.
Concern that the list seems to be very long, and then persons who seek help from the legal aid counsel will have to wait very, very long. I'm trying to find out if that's true, if that was true, what is the situation now? How long possibly you may have to wait to get assistance?
All right. So in certain circumstances, we know when the police comes to, for example, a home and they take the person away, the relatives or family members can make contact with the legal aid counsel as early as that is being done. In addition, because we know that sometimes our offices are closed on a weekend, so we would have made our list of attorneys available to the police so they can make contact with the attorneys directly. In addition to that, persons can visit our website, leave a message there, and they can also email us. Or those modes of communication are checked daily, even on the weekend. So once we receive a request, within 24 hours, we'll have an attorney visit the police station to do whatever procedure the police would like to conduct, whether it be a question and answer or an ID parade. At the police station too, there should be posters telling you about legal aid. And for the justices, when you visit the police station, if you notice that there is no poster visibly explaining to persons how to access legal aid or even their right to legal aid, you can make contact with us and we'll make arrangement for those posters to be put up in the police station or the lockup area so that persons who are detained or arrested can know that they can call the legal aid council, even if the police does not mention this to them, although the police ought to tell them. If that is even not done, they themselves or their family members or their relatives or their friends can make contact with us and we will provide a service. So as it relates to the time for assistance, I think that has been reduced drastically because of the various measures that we would have put in place. Giving the police the list, having different means of communication for persons to reach out to us, even on a weekend.
Okay. Take 2 more questions or comments.
Oh, and sorry, before you go to the other
Right.
question, I would have mentioned Justice of the Peace of Kingston and St. Andrew that they make direct contact with us via email or call us when they visit and there's a need for the duty council. So we could share those information with you. So you can also on your visit, make contact with us if you find that there's a need for our services.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else? Take 1 or 2 more questions or comments. This is really, really excellent information.
Good evening, everyone. All right, on the matter of child diversion, again, you made mention, you used an example as it relates to a child using a pencil in the school. What if it is a sexual offense? How would you deal with that? Would a sexual offense matter be referred to child diversion?
Well, first, a sexual offense matter would be referred to SISOCO, and thereafter to, if they think that it should be referred to child diversion, it will be. And as I said earlier, the Child Diversion Act would also govern in detail how the various matters can be treated with, because you're going to have some matters that the child diversion may not be able to remedy. And so that's why you have the child diversion officer and you have the act, and both of them work in tandem to see what is the best outcome that can be had from a particular situation.
Thank you much.
And for information, the child diversion, you can also get further information about the child diversion department from the Ministry of Justice's website. So you can make contact with them directly if you find that you have issues relating to children. So you can visit the Ministry of Justice's website for more information on child diversion and how to make contact with that department.
Okay. JP Michael, is your hand up from the last time or it's a new reason?
That's from the last time.
Okay, your hand must be tied by now, man.
It's not a new razor van.
I no problem. That's, you can lower your hand now. That's all right. Okay, thank you very much for that beautiful, those 2 beautiful and informative presentations. At this time, I'll ask J.P. Birchall to say thanks in a way that only he can on behalf of us.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's
Good
really
evening.
good to have listened into that presentation. And on behalf of the members of the St.Mary GP Association, the Honorable Costas, I would like to, first of all, commend the team from the Legal Aid Department, Mrs. Watson and Ms. Spence, for the outstanding work they're doing outside of their presentation, because the work that they legal aid council does is really important and very, very. We thank you for coming tonight to remind us of our duties as GPs in the whole process. Many times we are told how we function in the system, but the connection between what we do and what other person the duties other persons carry out are not always known. And tonight you really reinforce how, as JPs, we ought to connect with you and your team. The fact that you have over 800 lawyers island-wide speaks to the breadth and depth of the work done by the legal aid counselor. And so we thank you very much for coming over to explain that. And we hope that you will maintain the connectivity with us here in St. Mary. One of you are a member of the soil. And so for the one who isn't, we will extend a visa so you can visit us at any time and interact with us when COVID protocols allow. But I would like on behalf of the JPs really to thank you for the outstanding presentation. And I'd also like to extend thanks to JP Carroll for bringing us up to date on the community outreach program. The members of her team have been doing an excellent job, and they're really doing it on behalf of the whole membership. And so we'd want to thank you for the sacrifice made, and urge you to continue to the work you're doing. For the members who have already, the JP members who have already contributed to the program, we thank you. And
JP Burchell, JP Burchell?
Yes, sir.
We're not yet finished because we still have questions. I just wanted to thank the team from Legal Aid.
I thank you, sir. Well, let me thank them and wish them a safe journey if they are not yet home. And if they so desire, they may stay with us to the end of our meeting. But if not, we convey the permission of the chair for them to leave at any convenient time. Again, thank you both for sharing with us this evening. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, I hope you all will come again. Okay. Before we go,
sorry. I'm just saying we certainly will. If you ask us to come again.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll have you again, okay? Your presentation was really interesting. I just want to say to the members that those of you who are not yet in the St. Mary's GPs Association WhatsApp group, please put your number in the chat. Okay, and I will send you a list of our rules and guidelines. And once you agree with our rules and guidelines, then I will send you a link and you can join. If you don't like our rules and guidelines, don't join. It's not a WhatsApp group where you can just, just fill it up with all kind of stuff that's not related to being a GP. Okay. Like people, people in a group like to say good morning every morning and all this nice stuff, but it clogs up the group. It is strictly for the professional development of JPs, all right? And that's the only focus for our group, nothing else. Okay, so I'm going to send you a list of our guidelines, and if you're not comfortable with those guidelines, don't join, okay? But once you agree, you can come in and just honor the rules and the guidelines. And what I'll do, I'll send, if you want to hear this presentation again, we will upload it to our YouTube channel. Okay, we have a St. Mary's GP Association YouTube channel, so all of our meetings are up there. It's only the GPs of St. Mary can access that channel. All right, and you can go up there and you can hear all of our past meetings and training sessions. And you can review a lot of important things we said tonight, and you can go and listen to the session again. I think that will be very beneficial. All right, so please take note of that. At this time, I think our Honorable Custis is here with us tonight. Good night, Honorable Custis. Custis Johnson, if you're speaking, you need to unmute.
Yeah, I am just beginning to speak now.
Okay, okay.
Right. Let me thank you very much, and let me say good night to all participants, and if our visitors are still with us.
We're not seeing you in Custis.
No, I didn't come here. So I can't show you.
All right.
So, you know, let me thank those young ladies. I noticed that Burchell got carried away. I don't know if he was seeing the ladies and he lost track of what he was to do. But it happens to all of us with young minds. Eh? I just want to, 2 points that came out of that discussion that I would just like to clarify in terms of the operations protocol that we use in St. Mary in terms of visits to the lockups. At the moment, there are 3 functional lockups in St. Mary. The Anota Bay, the Islington, and the Arokabesa area. And what we have done was to arrange a specific group of JPs who on rotation visits these lockups for inspection. And there is somebody who's responsible for guiding the visits and also to give the necessary guidance as to what is done. Yes, the police can refuse the visit if at that time there's security concerns and it would not be wise to allow you to visit the lockup areas. So it is possible that it can happen. But I know for St. Mary, we are accommodated. The reports are not sent directly to anybody. The reports are sent to the Custis and we forward them to the Ministry of Justice, and it's dealt with through the different agencies in that way. But if there are things that can be done locally, we usually have discussion with the local command in the parish and see, or the judge, as the case may be, to remedy any situations. So there is a system in place, and we do not encourage JPs to just turn up to visit a station on their own accord, because we have experienced situation where JPs, because of personal reasons, just turn up at a station and demanding, you know, the privilege of visiting. So be guided by that. If you're in doubt, please ask me. Right now we're having some, due to the COVID protocols, we cannot visit as we should as often, because we have to be guided by, and we have to practice safety first before anything else. So that's where that is. And as we move closer to normalcy, as I understand that we have a very high percentage of JPs in St. Mary who are vaccinated. I hope that is true, because bear in mind that you are at risk, because you have to, those of you who go to the lay magistrate's court, or you have to visit the station to take caution statements, or you just have to sign something for somebody, you are at risk. So please consider the pros and the cons for vaccinations as closely as possible. Take the scientific view, listen to that, and make a wise decision. As I told a group this morning, the decision that we make now will determine what happens to the next generation. We have to, because this virus, a respiratory virus, will continue to mutate, and it might mutate downwards or it might mutate upwards. So we have to be careful. This was casually mentioned to me. I don't know if there's any scientific evidence to support it, but it says that people who took the flu vaccine were more resistant to catching a respiratory illness. And there's evidence that shows that by wearing, say over the last 18 months, we have been wearing the mask, and the onset of influenza and sinus problems is not as great as before in some people who were having problems managing it. So the mask really helps. The sanitizing helps. Safe distance helps. And there's evidence to say vaccination helps. So you can protect from outside, and you can also protect from inside. You stop the virus going in by sanitizing distance and mask. And if it does slip in, you have the whatever it is that is inside there, the antibodies who will be able to deal with anybody who try to enter illegally. So I remind you, wear your mask, maintain your social distance, wash your hands and do your sanitization. And vaccine, if you so desire, but bear in mind that without vaccine, you're at a risk even more so. I don't have any proof on that, but time will tell. And we have seen it happening in the news. So I'm encouraging you all. And I think there's evidence to tell that the AstraZeneca vaccine is one of the better ones, because the evidence that I've seen, that I've read so far, is that the AstraZeneca will not need a booster for about 10 years. And they start giving booster for some of the others. So read carefully, and as Justice of the Peace of St.Mary, lead by example and make a decision that will help the future of our country to move forward in a normal or near normal way. The third point I want to mention is the payment of contribution at the office. Yes, Miss McKellar is prepared to receive the contribution during the office hours, but ensure that you get a receipt from her for that contribution so that we can keep track of what we are collecting at the office as against what is being lodged. And if you lodge the amount to if you lodge it to the account, please let us know that you have done so by sending a WhatsApp message either to the organizers or to the office so that we can keep track of it. At the moment, we are processing applications for new JPs, and we are concentrating on the inner parts of St. Mary. The coastal road is flooded right now, with JPs, not with water, but with JPs and some of the major towns. So we are looking for JPs coming out of the rural area, the deep areas, so that we can serve those residents who needs the services of JPs, but cannot move out of the community that easily. So please, but all applications must be in person. You have to take the applications yourself to the office so that we can check it and ensure that it is properly prepared, because many times we get them in bulk and all sorts of things are missing and wrong things entered, and we are not able to contact the person. And I don't want a repeat of some of the answers that we get at interviews. Why do you want to become a JP? I didn't want to become, I just, somebody told me that, yeah, man, you're a good person for a JP. And I decide, and I fill out the application. I don't really want to be a JP. And they waste our time and they waste their time. So please ensure that when you encourage people to join, to become a Justice of the Peace, they're not just doing it because you tell them, but they are motivated to be there. Next week, during the course of next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll be swearing in or commissioning 50 new JPs. And we're hoping that we would have 3 public ceremonies where we could invite, up to about 20, 30 people. But this is a government function, and we are following the guidelines. So we'll be inviting only the JPs to be commissioned, and we'll be transmitting live through the internet to those of you who would want to access it. The joining instructions will be issued on the morning of each function. So Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and Thursday morning, you get the joining instructions. That's it for the in terms of that one. I now turn to some questions that I saw that people were having some problems. And I don't know if Mr. Boynes, Pastor Boynes, JP, could flash them on the screen so that you will see what I'm answering to. I have the numbers, I have the answers in front of me otherwise, but I don't know if the people will see the questions that I am answering.
Okay, let me see, I can bring that up real quick.
Question 1 had to do with joint account holder, and one of them has passed off. Who is entitled to the money? That's a question that I would not be able to answer. I think you need to check the bank, because it all depends on the type of account that is there, right? Whether anybody can draw, one of two can withdraw, or both will have to withdraw. So you'll have to check with the bank with that one. That's question 1. Question 2, old blood. I don't know what that refers to. It says, what does old blood refer to in the same scenario? I don't know what that is. As far as I know, that is that blood that was taken a long time ago. Or old blood in Coluta, Jamaican paradox, means that there has been some conflict. I don't know, that's, if I remember correctly, that's what it means. There's old blood brewing, so it means that there was some conflict here. So I don't know, I don't understand the context of that one. The third question What are the other specific duties established for St. Mary JPs for this ensuing year? We are guided by the protocols, the COVID protocols. Right now, we are not able to really participate in the lay magistrate's court because the facilities are not in a way that we could participate. Apart from that, the other assignments would be the day-to-day assignments, signing papers, those of you who work with child diversion, mediation, once it's possible without any breach of the protocols. Those are the duties that you'll consider. But there's no specific duties right now. But there's also the spirit license, which is still going on. So that one is there. I'm awaiting response from the judge's chamber for the reopening of the lay magistrate courts. I'm concerned about the state of garbage collection in Jeffertown. That's a political issue, and I ask that you contact your councillor and your member of parliament, or if you cannot get anything from them, check with the Northeastern Solid Waste Management team, right? And encourage the people in the Jeffertown area to bag their garbage properly so that it's not scattered all over the place. Like what I see happening in Port Maria, right in the middle of the town. People, the business places, I assume, send their garbage there, and when they reach there, they empty them out of the bag or the containers into that pile of garbage across from Juicy Beef, Juicy Patties, and behind Tasty Patties. I hope it's not affecting the taste of the patties. As justice of the peace, it will look more formal wearing uniform so that we can be properly identified. And that's a dangerous thing, you know, to wear a uniform. Very dangerous. But we are going to solve that problem in short order. Pins will be available that you can wear with any clothes, out of uniform, in uniform, and it will mark Justice of the Peace of Jamaica. So you are identified as a bona fide Justice of the Peace, and I hope it has been circulated. I circulated it. It will cost, it's costing us $2,000 to produce them, a very good pin, bright and bold. You can be seen from far if the person has good eyesight. So those will be available. I'm told that I'll get them in another 2 weeks. So as soon as they're here, I'll let you know. And with a small contribution of $1,999.99, you will get a pin. $1,999.99. You will get a pin to wear, and that will help you with your uniform. In other words, just give me $2,000 and you get a pin. How do we handle the absence of requisites, information, and bail bonds? Don't sign it. Right? If the information is not there, don't sign it. I'm concerned about the demands by the bank for verification of address by JPs. I know that the verification of address is usually by utility bills. I know that JPs have to do them, but they are not obligated to do anything in terms of that. But it would be helpful if you know the person and you know that the person lives at that location, to just give a letter that I've known so-and-so for the last how many years and they live at the location. That will be very helpful. But if you're not feeling comfortable with it, leave it out. But it's a very helpful thing to help your brothers who may need just that. And that is one of the reasons why we are trying to put JPs in every district and community in St. Mary, so that whosoever sign anything will know the person who they are signing for. And by the way, I hear that some JPs in St. Mary, I didn't know it was happening, but I've gotten some evidence which I'm investigating. And it's from some people, it's about some people that I didn't expect that of them. I hope it's not true, but we are investigating it, that they're asking for a worthwhile contribution to sign, especially driver's license forms. I'm not threatening anybody, but if we can prove the allegations, people will be in serious trouble. I'm just saying that because it has come to my attention, and once something is brought to my attention, I have a duty to investigate it properly. So I have put the system in place for investigation, and it does not involve any of the JPs. The investigating team is not members of the JP Association. Should it be the function of the Justice of the Peace to help get mentally challenged persons off the street? If you can, if you know of it, it will be very helpful. But I think before you attempt to do anything, be guided by the Ministry of Health and the police department, because it can be dangerous, as was demonstrated over in St. Catherine during last week. Be careful. And even in Portmore, it happened some time ago where somebody was trying to help a mentally challenged person, and they got injured. So be very careful, but it will be helpful if you are able to do that, and encourage the family members to, you know, be more concerned. Mental challenges is not only treated by medication. Medication subdue it a bit, but they need that pastoral care and counseling, and to sort of remove any obstacles that might be preventing a normal life. So please, that is where that is. Can you speak to the protocols in relationship to the Governor General Custody? That question is very far-reaching, and I would prefer if somebody wants to be specific what protocols they are talking about, because it's far-reaching. So I would answer that when I get more specific details on that. I am concerned about children not being able to access the online classes because they have to be working to make ends meet. What happens if they have to go to school? Will they have to still be working to make ends meet? It happens. I know that children were at school used to work on weekends, and some of them are still working. But I think if that is happening in your community, I think if you cannot intervene, we need to look at it and probably get some help from the children advocate, because there are two concerns here. One is, not two concerns, one in particular. They have to be working, and we have to be careful of child labor, right? So we have to deal with that. I see Sam Campbell put up something that people who have applied for JP over a year ago. That is not true, because we have processed all the applications that we had over a year ago, and we are doing the applications now. Some people have applied for the JP and they give it to somebody, huh? And that somebody left it somewhere and we haven't received it, right? And in fact, it's not everybody who applies to become a JP will be accepted, because we have to do in-depth investigation. We have to carry out due diligence so that we don't have a repeat of the situation down in Montego Bay, where somebody got a recommendation from a JP and went down there and was involved in a criminal scenario. So we have to do real due diligence, because you have to be careful that people don't drop through the crack. Yeah? And because once nobody's going to say Errol Johnson is a corrupt JP. They're going to say the JPs of St. Mary are corrupt people. And that will include all those who go to church on Sundays and Saturdays, and those like me who go to church every day of the week. We will all be classified as being corrupted. So we have to be very careful about that. I would like to propose a system where if a citizen of Jamaica reaches the age of 18 and has no set plans for their lives, they enter the military training system. That's very sad, eh? We are the parents. The parents should have been guiding them. The schools have guidance counselors. The churches have pastoral care. But if that has failed, the government established through the Jamaica Defense Force, the Jamaica National Service Corps, where people who have left school and 18 plus can may be selected to join the JNSC, and it is doing a good job there. I think they have trained over 5,000 people already and have created some good persons out of people who may have fallen on the wayside. And recently, I heard that they haven't seen the details of that as yet. The Jamaica Constabulary Force will be reintroducing the cadet system at their training institution over in Twickenham Park, where they will take in young boys and girls who are at risk and keep them in-house and try to guide them along the right direction. So that is where that is at the moment. I try to, and there are some other programs that will be coming on stream shortly in terms of dealing with children in that age category. I'm not sure of the details, but children are now able to, if they don't move on to the CAPE level due to their performance at CSEC, they will be given 2 extra years at school to try to earn some more academic accolades. I'm not sure of the details of that, but as soon as I'm able to access that, I'll pass it on so that you may be able to serve as a reservoir for this information. All right, I think that is the answers to most of the questions that I've seen there. So if there's anything that I've missed out and anybody would like to ask a question that I may be able to answer, please do so now. Because it's about my bedtime now, so I'm feeling a bit sleepy. Eh?
We'll take 2 questions before we close off.
Yes.
Okay, no questions. Thank you very much, Honorable Costas. I'm going to ask Burchell James to come back again and do the second part of his thank you.
You're most welcome, sir.
Very
Burchell, please stick to the script, eh?
Thank you, Costas. I will stick with the script. It is clear that I can't do everything all at once, so they have to break it into segments. So I will return for segment B. Honorable Costas, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. And as members of the St.Mary JP Association, we thank you for the leadership that you continue to provide and the innovation that we are experiencing. We thank you for the vision you have and the initiatives that have been. We thank the members here who have continued to join the round table for the programs. We recognize the limitations and therefore appreciate even more the efforts you have made to join the meetings. I'd also like to thank our chairman who works tirelessly with youthful enthusiasm and a sharp eye for what's happening, for his continued motivation and guidance. And so, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I will just thank the other members of the committee who was late nights trying to get these programs together, programs that have made us as a JP Association more interactive and more relevant to our communities. So thank you all, and I'd like to not forget our sponsors. Our sponsors made this possible and continue to support us. And I'd like to thank those persons who month after month make the sacrifice to be there to provide technical assistance. We do not see them, but without them, things would not run as smoothly. So we thank them as well as the Catalyst Bookstore and Northgate High School. Again, thank you all. Have a great evening, a wonderful remainder of the month, a few hours to go. And we trust that the last quarter, October, November, December, will be impactful.
Thank you very much, Burchell.
On behalf of us all, we extend our gratitude.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were finished. You're breaking up, your internet broke up a little bit in the end there, Burchell. Sorry about that.
It did, but you, as always, you cover for us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will have closed with our national anthem. So over to the media team.
Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders knowledge send us. Heavenly Father, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be us forever, Jamaica, land in love. Jamaica, 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 land we love.
Okay, thank you very much, Northgate High School. You're all dismissed. Thank you for staying right down to the end of our meeting. You all did very well. And please remember to visit our YouTube channel for a review of our sessions. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Bless you too, sir. Very good meeting. Very good chairmanship. Very informative.
Thank you very much, JP Samuel.
Be safe all and maintain the protocols and get vaccinated if you can, as soon as you can. Thank you.
I
Good
thought
night,
the Honorable Costas was gone to bed.
Said he took out his teeth.
Oh.